Hello and welcome back to this video. I'm Great Aunt Lydia. In today's video, we're going to continue talking about the Harry Potter series, which is a wonderful series of books written by a person who we shall not discuss because we believe at this channel that trans women are women. And don't you go yelling in the comments about that, okay? It's none of your business, all right? Let people be who they are. That's my advice. I suppose if I'm following my own advice, then I shouldn't tell you to not yell in the comments because that might be who you are. What a dilemma. Anyway, so today we are covering the second book in the series, which is Harry Potter and the Secret Chamber. So it begins this summer after the first book, all right? Harry is now back at his rather abusive aunt and uncle's house, and he's upset because he hasn't gotten any mail. You know, I never get mail anymore. No one writes letters. I do think that's very upsetting. You know, I used to like getting a letter in the mail. Now it's just bills. Just bills. And the usual junk. You know, I get advertisements from the grocery store and all sorts of things like that, and it's just... You know, my friends and I used to send letters to one another all the time, but now, of course, most of the intelligent ones are dead. Now I just have that Trudy Buckley sending me poorly written messages on the Facebook, and it's very upsetting. So Harry's aunt and uncle are having a dinner party, which I used to throw all of the time before the world closed. You know, back before the COVID. And this elf shows up, but it doesn't sound like an elf in other books. Like in Lord of the Rings, the elves are very regal and very tall and very majestic and sort of like the pinnacle of well, I want to say humanity, but I suppose they're not human, really, in the books. In the Lord of the Rings, are they? I suppose that's another video we could do. But this sort of elf sounds much more like the Santa Claus variety, right? Like very much a worker, and not entirely by choice. It seems very problematic, which, you know, looking back now based on what we know, just gonna take a sip of wine about that one. So Harry's uncle is very upset, of course, because the elf shows up to the dinner party, wasn't invited, and we know that Harry's aunt and uncle don't like magical things. And the elf actually ends up causing quite a mess of things. So that makes his uncle lock Harry in the room. He has a bedroom now, right? He lived in the closet underneath the stairs, but they do give him a room. But they just give him a room so that they can lock him in it. So it seems, you know, just the cycle of abuse just continuing. What is this? What is the computer wants to do something. Yes, you see, I have my notes. I took notes and I have them on the computer here. Except I don't know what this means. Confession time. I did have a couple of glasses of wine while I was reading the books. And I'm not sure what I meant. But, you know, you'd think that the neighbors would notice something with all this abuse going on in the household. You would think, wouldn't you? You know, call some sort of agency or something, you would think. I don't know. Bad neighbors. So eventually, Harry's friend Ron shows up in a flying car with some of his brothers, and they break Harry out of the room and take him to their house. I saw a flying car once. You know, of course it was the 70s. And I think someone had slipped something into the punch I was drinking. So he goes to stay with the Weasleys for the rest of the summer. And they go shopping, and he takes a wrong turn or something and ends up in a very bad part of town. And in this bad part of town, he runs into his friend Hagrid, the giant guy. He runs into him, and Hagrid takes him back to the good part of the wizarding shopping area. So then the day comes when they have to go back to the school, and so they go, and Harry and Ron can't get through the entryway into the train. So they decide to take the flying car to school. Seemed like just very typical teenage boy behavior. You're not thinking things all the way through. They don't wait around to see if the adults can sort it out. They just take a car that doesn't belong to them. Does that sound familiar?
What?
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about?
I seem to remember you taking a car that didn't belong to you once upon a time. Of course, I do think you had your driver's license then.
Are you talking about that time in Albuquerque when you were passed out all day?
So they get to the school, and of course they get in trouble. Because of course they were seen, and they crashed the car into a tree of some sort that then beats up the car, which is very odd. But then there's a lot of odd things that happen at this school. It's a school full of wizarding. It's a magical school. So of course things are going to be weird. So school starts, and Harry begins to hear voices. And then people start getting attacked by something and petrified. It starts with a cat, actually. It starts with a cat. Cat gets petrified. And there's all of these rumors about the heir of Slytherin. And people think that it's Harry attacking everybody because he can talk to snakes. And apparently snakes have their own language, which makes me wonder, do other animals have languages? Like, can wizards talk to gophers or something like that? I find that very, very curious. Is it just snakes? Oh, and I forgot about their new teacher of the dark arts defense. He's very handsome, apparently, very famous. And he likes Harry, and he keeps giving him tips on how to be famous. Very, very, very obnoxious throughout the book, really. He's written all sorts of books on fighting bad creatures and bad wizards and things, but he doesn't seem very competent in class. That's the thing that I found suspicious. At some point in the year, Harry finds his journal. It says a journal, or it's a date book or something. I don't know. There's dates and things. It's empty, but it turns out to be magical. And I don't know why everybody seems so surprised by that. They're at a magical school. Of course, a journal could be magical. So it belonged to a guy named Tom Riddle, who was a student in Hogwarts 50 years before the events of this book. And that's when the secret chamber was opened the last time. Did I mention the secret chamber? I mean, it's in the title, of course, but I don't think I talked about it here. Like, I don't remember when they find out that's what it's called, but it's the title of the book, so I knew it was coming. And then, so Harry's messing with the diary, and it becomes like a movie, or maybe it swallows him or something. It gives him some sort of vision. And it shows Harry that that Hagrid, his giant friend, was the one who opened the chamber the last time, which just didn't seem right to me. I found that very odd. And then so Hagrid gets arrested because they think he's doing it again this time. And as he's getting arrested, he says something to Harry about following the spiders and talking to a spider. And him and Ron go into the forest, and there's lots of spiders. And there's a really big spider that was a friend of Hagrid's. And for some reason, the spider speaks English. So I don't know why the spider can speak English, but the snakes speak their snaky language. So that's one thing that I'm confused about still. I don't know. So then eventually more people get attacked, and then Ron's little sister, who had just started at the school, gets taken into the secret chamber by the heir of Slytherin, and that's when Harry and Ron decide to go rescue her. And they go to the dark defense teacher, and he turns out to be incompetent, which we knew he was all along. We knew this about him, but it's confirmed at this point. And it turns out he had been stealing these stories from lots of other wizards and then changing their memories. There are some people that I wish I could change their memories on some things that had happened, but it's fine. But it's just blatant plagiarism what he's doing, you know. So they go down into the secret chamber. They find it. Harry and Ron and the teacher go down there, and the teacher is going to modify their memories, but he ends up blowing up the tunnel or something. And so Harry ends up going down the tunnel to continue the rescue mission. And there's a snake battle, and it turns out that Tom Riddle is there, and he's some sort of ghost. He's some sort of ghost that came out of the diary, and he's the one. He's the heir of Slytherin, and he's the one who made Ron's sister do all of the opening of things and the commanding of the big snake, which Harry ends up killing. And somehow, the Tom Riddle is also the Voldemort guy from the first book. I don't know how it worked exactly, but it was an interesting plot twist, and I thought that was rather clever. So my overall thought on this book, it was nice. It was very nice how the elf got freed at the end. It turns out that he was some sort of slave to the Malfoy people, who Harry doesn't get along with, of course. I don't know what I'm not. You know what I'm not sure about is why is it that they give them clothes to set them free? You would think that the wizards would want to give them clothes to do the laundry or something. I don't know. It seems odd that that is the marker of freedom for somebody that you're keeping as a domestic servant. But I suppose not everything has to make sense. And it was very lucky that all the people just went into like a petrification coma or something instead of dying, because apparently if you look directly in the snake's eyes, you die. I don't know why. There are things about people dying just from fear. That's a real thing, or superstition. That it's possible, I suppose. I can only imagine the reaction that Harry's aunt and uncle had when he came home. Because he at the end of the year, because he escaped at the beginning of the year. They really are terrible people. Perhaps that's why they're so well written, because terrible people know how to write terrible people. They say to write what you know. Time to stay. So that is the second Harry Potter book. We've done the Sorcerer's Stone, and then this is the Secret Chamber, and then there's 5 more books to go. We're going to talk about them all because they're all this cultural phenomenon that happened, and that's what this entire show is about. Is me getting in touch with the cultural phenomenons. So I hope you like this video with is it thumbs on the YouTube? You do the thumbs up, the thumbs down. It's not stars. So we want you to like the video and subscribe and all that stuff. And I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you on the next video.